Thursday, December 1st, 1859. While serving the noon meal, I heard Miss Lily tell Moss Henley that she had written to a friend of hers in Washington. The friend had wrote back saying, "Mr. Harms's father and mother are well-bred Southerners, but his uncles Josiah and Joshua Harms are hell-bent abolitionists." She sucked in as though she had spoken a word purely evil. "Who is this Mr. Harms?" she say. This I know. Ma's and Miss Henley fight on just about everything in the world, 'ceptin' slavery. On that notion they are together. They plenty mad about losing Rufus and his family. Moss Henley say he would speak to Mr. Harms about his family. I know Mr. Harms said he would speak to me, but that was weeks ago. He never has. I got to warn him, so I'm just going to have to speak to him first. Friday, December 2nd, 1859. I took a big chance today. I waited outside William's room before class. When Mr. Harms came down the hall, I whispered, "Be careful. They know about your uncles being abolitionists. They think you might be one too." Mr. Harms never said a word to me, never even looked my way. I wonder, did he hear me? Later. Mr. Harms heard me all right. After supper, he told Moss Henley about his uncles being abolitionists. It was smart for him to bring it up, before he got asked about it. I was serving them coffee in the large parlor when I heard Mr. Harms say he was sick shamed of his relations and wanted to forget they was ever kin. That seemed to set well with Moss Henley. I found every reason to stay in that parlor listening. I poked up the fire as Moss Henley was saying, "I'm trusting you to be an honorable man while you're an employee in my home." Coming from Moss Henley, it sounded like a warning. I never took my eyes off Miss Lily. She didn't say much, but the compression on her face told the whole story. She didn't trust Mr. Harms not a stitch. He's got an enemy in Miss Lily, and I think he knows it. Saturday, December 3rd, 1859. They finished Mr. Waite's house today. Hint say he's so glad Waite is not staying in the stables with him any more, because he snored so bad. Waite's got a 2-room log cabin, 1 room and a sleeping loft, complete with a front and back door and 4 windows. Nothing special, but the way he's carrying on, you'd think it was a big house. Miss Lily helped furnish his place with leftovers from the attic. Moss Henley gave him the key to the storehouse and made him feel welcome. Aunt T say Waite is a po' trash that ain't never had it so good. That means he's going to want to make sure he pleases Moss Henley and Miss Henley to keep what he's got. I plan to stay clear of the man. He scares me. Before going to bed, I looked out the window and saw smoke coming from Waite's chimney. The overseer has settled in for a long winter stay at Belmont. A cold chill went up my back. Sunday, December 4th, 1859. The wind woke me up, whistling through the cracks in the cabin wall. Sounds like whisperings from the strange dream I was having. Trying now to write it down while I remember it. Even so, it is hard to put the pieces together. I am running fast, but I don't know where I'm going. I see hints being taken away and chained. Aunt T is begging Mr. Harms to help him, but he won't talk to her. He won't talk to me. I see a sign that says, "The Philadelphia," and another that says, "The New York," and another that says, "The Boston." People with no faces are holding up signs that say, "We are abolitionists." I'm running to them, but I never get closer. Standing here in the cold darkness, I've made up my mind that I'm going to speak to Mr. Harms. I've just got to figure out how and where I can do it. Monday, December 5th, 1859. Mr. Harms and I see each other during lessons every day, but we never have time alone. I have to say this for William. He's trying really hard with his lessons. No whining when I rub his legs either. I know the water is hot, and the exercises are hard for him, but he never fails to try. And today, for all of his hard work, William wiggled his big toe. It was a small thing, but it made me feel big inside. Good. like I'd had a part in making it happen by rubbing his legs and feet every day. It was like doctoring. I know how Auntie and Spicy must feel when they help bring a new life into the world. Tuesday, December 6th, 1859. Samela, a barn cat, had a litter of 3 kittens under the kitchen porch. 2 died. I captured the last one, a jet black one, and took it to William. I'd never heard William say thank you for anything in his life, but he thanked me for the kitten. He named it Shadow. Later. That was a kind thing you did for William, said Mr. Harms. He was standing in the doorway to the study. Keep dusting. At last we were having that talk. My head was spinning with thoughts. What to ask? What to say? I've been waiting and waiting for this time. Our talk went like this. I had to be sure you could be trusted, and that you could trust me. Are you an abolitionist? I wanted to know that in the worst way. He smiled, but his eyes were serious. Yes, I am. Who else knows about me? Aunt T, Spicy, and me. But Miss Lily's looking at you real careful like. Thanks for the warning. She could be a problem. Are you and the one-eyed man the Underground Railroad? No, not by ourselves, he whispered. We are conductors. He told me it was neither underground nor a railroad. It's a group of people who work together to help slaves get to freedom. You can read and write. I figured you'd learn by listening during lessons. Remarkable. I done learned a lot from you. Then I say, you a Southerner. Why you want to end slavery? He wasn't able to answer, because somebody was coming. I had more questions to ask. Later. Now it's time to take Miss Lily her warm milk before bedtime. I got to be sure that I don't give away nothing in my face. Wednesday, December 7th, 1859. Today, Dr. Lamb came to see William. Said he was improving. That still gave Mr. Harms and me a moment to talk. He told me Belmont was the first station on the Underground Railroad in this area. It was a low point in the river, where it narrows and the current is less swift. Runaways meet their first conductor here in the Belmont woods and are taken to the next point. Why couldn't poor Rufus and his family make it? Thursday, December 8th, 1859. The days are short and cold. The fields have been laid by. Tobacco is yellowing over slow coals. Waith's put everybody to work fixing up the place for Christmas. The big times. Another holiday. Endless chores. Eva May is making fruitcakes today. I chopped nuts and berries till my fingers have got no feeling. Missy got on one of Clarice's old dresses. Miss Lily probably promised her a hat, too, if she tells on me. Missy and me hardly talk any more, except when we serving the food. She hangs under Miss Lily, like Shadow does William. Friday, December 9th, 1859. We spent the day in the barn, restuffing Miss Lily's mattress with fresh down we've been saving all year. Hince has been coming to Aunt T's cabin every night to sit with Spicy, so I can't write until he leaves. Since our talk in the study, Mr. Harms has been slipping me things to read. I hide them under my dress until I get here. I read the papers to Aunt T and Spicy. A lot of it we don't understand, but a lot of my questions have answers now. Abolitionists live everywhere, just like I thought, but what makes me happiest is that some abolitionists are women, and some are even people who done been slaves, just like me. Mr. Harms say that he used to be slave named Frederick Douglass, teach himself to read and write just like me. Now he's an abolitionist and writes his own newspaper up in the New York called the North Star. I want to read that paper someday. Maybe I will. I know I will. Saturday, December 10th, 1859. Aunt T sent Spicy and me to pick the last of the beets from the house garden. They are tender and sweet after the frost hits the ground. On the way back from the garden, Waith jumped out and grabbed Spicy's arm. "You're right pretty for a black girl," he say, spitting tobacco juice. He hissed at me to git, but I wouldn't go. not without Spicy. I held on to her hand. He snapped his whip in my direction. "Get like I told you, or I'll give you a whoopin', gal." "Mr. Harms wouldn't like you bothering Spicy. He done picked her for hisself." I surprised myself at how fast I could speak a lie. It was a good lie, because it was helping Spicy. She was frozen in fear, because she knew Waith didn't have nothing good in mind. Waith believed me. He let Spicy go, and we ran as fast as we could to Aunt T. I'll tell Mr. Harms what I said, and maybe he can protect Spicy until... Until what? Dare I write it? Until we run away. Sunday, December 11th, 1859. I miss the good Sundays we had when Rufus was here. But Mr. Harms gave Spicy's Bible back. He had been keeping it in his room, where it would be safe. The one he showed Miss Lily was one of his. Spicy was thankful to get it back, it being her mamma's and all. Now I read to Spicy and Aunt T when we get a chance. Later. There was a big celebration at Belmont tonight. Had to work in the kitchen. Mr. Cleophas Tucker and the other men Moss Henley supported won. The house looked beautiful, everything shining and sparkling. We'd worked hard enough to make it look that way. The guests went on and on about how they hate abolitionists and northern meddlers. Made me smile inside, seeing Mr. Harms right in the middle of them. And they don't even know he was a fox in the hen house. Moss Edmund Ruffin was part of the group tonight. He was the one who talked the longest and loudest about the rights of slaveholders. He was always talking about his freedom. "We are a free nation. We fought England for our freedom. We will fight again for our freedom if we must." Masters talk a powerful lot when it comes to their freedom, but when it comes to freeing the slaves, they get struck deaf and dumb. Monday, December 12th, 1859. It's night. It was cold all morning, warmed up by late afternoon, and now it is cold again. A winter cold. Long, hard day over. Miss Lily fussed around in the kitchen most of the morning, setting up for the big Christmas dinner. She ended up slapping Eva May twice before it was over. Later, Miss Lily gave everyone in the corners a measure of cloth to make something for the coming big times. I gave my piece to Aunt T, because I got Mama's dress to wear. Aunt T is stitching up something real special while Spicy and me work on our quilt. We almost got it finished. The cabin floor is cold, so we keep our feet wrapped in rags. We sit by the fire so our fronts are warm, but our backs are cold. There are so many cracks in the walls, the wind whistles. And it's also getting harder and harder for Aunt T to piece a meal together, even though I'm slipping as much as I can out of the kitchen. Winter hard times is upon us. What keeps us going is waiting on the big times, our week of Sundays. Uncle Heb always used to say, if we can last through February, we can march on through. Tuesday, December 13th, 1859. Riders woke us at daybreak, dogs barking, torches glowing in the darkness. Aunt T, Spicy, and I went to the door to see who it was. Late-night riders always mean one thing: trouble. The lead rider, Wilson, spoke first. He was quick to the point. "Two of my negroes have run away, a buck named Raff and a mulatto girl named Cora Bell. We beat it out of the gal's mama that the two was helped by a white man, what's missing an eye. If we catch him, he's going to lose more'n an eye." The men reined their horses. "We aim to hang him." "The dogs traced them there to your orchards. We'd like to go in with your permission," said Higgins. Moss Henley raised a fist. "You have my permission, and if you let me dress, I'll go with you." "Me too," said Mr. Waith, bursting out of his cabin. "Chasing and catching runaways is what I've been doing for the last 3 years." I knew he was something like that. A low-life slave chaser. Wednesday, December 14th, 1859. Moss Henley come back from the hunt, telling us how they found the runaways. "We hung 'em," he hissed angrily. "My offer still stands," he said. "Freedom to the one who gives me any information about this one-eyed white man. Think about it. Freedom." So they hadn't caught the one-eyed man. I just scratched, Freedom in the ashes. I still don't get no picture. Freedom is a hard word to understand. Thursday, December 15th, 1859. We've been pushing everybody to get Belmont cleaned up for the big times. After what happened with the runaways, we've been moving real slow like. Got no joy in our souls. Women from the quarters been up in the kitchen to help Eva May with the early cooking and cleaning. I helped pull the big rug out of the large parlor and beat all the dust out of it. I got to coughing and couldn't stop. Aunt T made me some syrup out of honey and herbs, and I finally stopped. Later, when I went to the stables to take Hints a plate of food, Mr. Harms pulled me aside. I almost screamed, thinking it was that nasty Waith. Got news, he say. Those runaways aren't dead. They just tell you runaways are dead, so you'll be afraid to run. Does that mean Rufus and Aggie? I was so hoping. But Mr. Harms say no, they didn't make it. Rufus wasn't willing to trust the Underground Railroad plan. He never quite believed that a Southern man could be against slavery as I am. But there are plenty of us. Rufus had tried to make it on his own. Some runaways make it alone, Mr. Harms explained. They need help most times. Lots of help. I tried to help Rufus. Talked to him several times when I heard he was planning to run. Rufus never really trusted me. What happened to Rufus and his family never should happen to another family. One of them might have made it if they could swim. Moss Henley won't let us learn how to swim, because he knows if we stay stupid, he can keep us. Come spring, I'm learning how to swim, just in case I ever need to know how. I forgot to tell Mr. Harms about the lie I told Waite to save Spicy. I've got to remember. Friday, December 16th, 1859. Rained all day. A slow, cold rain. Miserable. I sat with William in his room for a while. We played with Shadow. I pumped his legs, up and down, keeping them moving. Sadly, the hot water treatments ain't helped more than to get a few toes a-goin'. The rest of him is still the same. Nothing near walking. He's in mighty good spirits, though. Giggling all the time. Maybe it's the big times that's making him so happy. Dr. Lamb visited yesterday. Stayed for dinner. Company. Even company as nice as Dr. Lamb always means more work for us in the kitchen. Saturday, December 17th, 1859. Mr. Harms still treats me like I'm not there when others be around us. He left me a copy of The Liberator, put out by an abolitionist named William Lloyd Garrison from the Boston. I read the pages to Aunt T and Spicy. They listened to every word. Stories about black abolitionists. I read about a woman named Sojourner Truth, who speaks out against slavery everywhere she goes. Even when the masters say they're going to stone her to death, she keeps a-talkin'. Ain't scared of nothing, because she's telling the truth. Slavery must be destroyed, root and branch. I am so glad to know about Miss Sojourner. I mean to be like her one day. Maybe even meet her when I get to freedom. Maybe we could be abolitionists together. Do you imagine that? But I will be brave like the shepherd boy. David? If I was with Miss Sojourner, she'd help me be strong. And we can end slavery, too. Sunday, December 18th, 1859. Waith works the people in the quarters like dogs. Won't let up on them a minute. Push, work, driving night and day, painting, chopping winter wood, feeding the livestock, on and on. He's constantly yelling and screaming and lashing that whip. I'd like to wrap it around his neck and give it a good yank. The more he yells, the more Moss Henley and the missus feel they're getting their money's worth. Monday, December 19th, 1859. It snowed today, not enough to cover the ground. William sat by the window and longed to play once more in the snow. "You're different, Clotee," William say matter-of-fact like. Lord, now William is noticing me? Who next? I made on like I don't know what he was talking about. He say, You don't sound like the other slaves. You say talking instead of talkin'. You say I am instead of I is. You say they were instead of they was, and things like that. You talk almost as good as a white person. Why is that?" I shrugged my shoulders and got out of there as quick as I could. Missy was always teasing me about talking proper. Miss Lily had spoke about it too. And now William. Was my learning to be my undoing? I must be particular to write, but not talk too proper. I could get myself into trouble. Tuesday, December 20th, 1859. 5 days to the big times. 2 men by the name of Campbell came to Belmont today. They stayed for supper. The older Campbell is a gray-haired, with a matching mustache, stocky but well-dressed. The son is taller, thinner. The Campbells are horsemen from Tennessee, same as Moss Henley. While serving biscuits and coffee, I turn to listening. I'm piecing it all together so I can write it down. "We've been watching you for some time," said Silas Campbell, the older man. "We like the way your boy rides." "I got the best jockey in Virginia right here at Belmont," Moss Henley bragged. "He'd be great if he had a fair mount," said Amos Campbell, the son. "We've got the right horse. We need your jockey." "What's your best offer?" "We'd like to buy Hints." My heart sank. I almost dropped a plate of dessert tea cakes, but I caught them before they all slid off the tray and on the floor. The men were too fixed on what they were saying to pay attention to me. "No deal," Moss Henley answered, "but I'll make this bet. My jockey against your horse. I lose, you take Hints. I win, I take your horse. Set the date?" "New Year's Day." Later. Hints was shocked when I told him what I'd overheard. "So Moss Henley done bet on me against the Campbell horse?" He shrugged and went back to rubbing Can. "Is that all Moss Henley thought of Hints? To bet him against a horse?" "Suppose you lose?" I asked. Hints talked brave. "I won't lose. Big Can is a good horse. Nobody really knows how good. Moss Henley must have planned this all along. That's why he's been having me hold back a little, winning without ever letting Can stretch out. That's going to be our edge on the Campbells." Once he put voice to those words, Hints didn't seem worried. "All I pray for is for him to be right. So does Aunt T, and most specially Spicy. Hints can't lose." Thursday, December 22nd, 1859. We all gathered on the porch to see the Christmas tree lights. The tree didn't look as pretty to me as it used to. Maybe Waith being here spoiled the big times for us all. As hard as everybody done work to get the place ready for the holidays, Bradley Waith went to Moss Henley and tried to get our off days cut short. I heard him say with all the runaways happening, he thinks we should be kept bent over working so we can't take time to study up on freedom. Thank goodness, Moss Henley had sense enough to realize that he'd have a rebellion on his hands if he didn't give us off the days between Christmas and New Year's. "Tell you what, though," he told Waith, "I won't give out any travel passes this year. That ought to cut back on any runaway attempts." "Thank you for thinking ahead, Waith. You're a good man." I just wrote MEAN in the ashes. Mean. The picture of Waith is clear in my head. This is going to be a sad, sad Christmas for folks who are hoping for passes to visit their loved ones on nearby plantations. Saturday, December 24th, 1859, Christmas Eve. Been so busy, I ain't had a chance to write in a few days. Everything is ready for the big times, in the big house and down here in the quarters. Even the weather is on our side. If it stays warm like it is today, we'll get to eat our dinner outside. Everybody is home for the holidays. Mr. Harm stayed here, rather than go to his home. Clarissa and her husband are here from Richmond. The tree is up, the stockings are hung, and we've got the cream ready for Moss Henley's famous eggnog. The missus led the family in singing carols. As soon as I could slip away, I joined Aunt T and Spicy in the stables. That's where the folks from the quarters were having their Christmas Eve dance, all under the watchful eye of Waith, the overseer. Aunt T served him a glass of dandelion wine. Waith drank it and ate a big plate of pickled pig feet, a roasted sweet potato, and ash cake. Aunt T winked at Spicy and me, because she had put a potion in his drink. Before long, we looked for Waith. He was curled up like a fat snake, sound asleep. Slept through the whole party. He never guessed what had made him so sleepy. Thank goodness for Aunt T's potions. And the Afric woman that gave her the recipe. Sunday, December 25th, 1859. Christmas Day. It is Christmas, all day. Christmas gift, we all shouted outside Moss Henley's window, first thing this morning. After the families from the quarters came to the big house to greet the family and get their gifts, they hurried back to the quarters to begin their week of Sundays. Us who work in the kitchen had to work all day, fetching and toting, wiping and cleaning. Missy saw another side of Miss Lily today. Missy was moving slow-like and whining about having to work on Christmas. All at once, Miss Lily popped Missy right upside the head. It hurt Missy's heart that I saw her get slapped. I had Aunt T and Spicy bent over laughing when I told her how Missy looked, eyes all bucked, mouth poked out. What a sight. She had it coming after what she did to Hints. Later. Everybody in the big house is happy because William stood up on his own today. I felt good seeing him standing up all by himself, too. So that's why he's been all happy. He knew about this. Mr. Harms got lots of praise. Even Miss Lily had to fess that Mr. Harms had helped her son stand. He'll be taking a few steps any day now. I feel happy for William. I'd helped William come this far, too. I'd rubbed his legs and toes and sat with him when he was lonely. Nobody knew what I'd done, but I knew, and that made me feel well within myself. Monday, December 26th, 1859. Today begins the first day of the big times. No work for the field hands. For us in the kitchen, double work, more toting, fetching. Yesterday, after we had served the big meal for the Henleys and cleaned up, we went down to the barn where there was a gathering going on. Auntie had made a cake from stuff I'd been sneaking out of the kitchen for weeks. All the elder folks stood to one side as judges. Somebody started patting the juba, clapping the tune. Then came the couples, strutting the cakewalk. Hints and Spicy come out first, high-stepping and kicking their heels. They were wearing matching shirts that Aunt T had made from the cloth Miss Lily handed out. Everybody had to say they were a fine-looking couple, but they could also dance. I had on my dress that Mama had made, and the ribbon that Hints had brought me. Missy had on one of Clarissa's dresses, too, but mine was better, because Mama had made mine. Aunt T allowed that I could dance the cakewalk this year with a boy other than Hints. Me and Buddy Barnes, Miss Clarissa's carriage driver, stepped together. He swung me up and swung me down, from side to side and up the middle. "You look mighty nice, Clotee," Buddy Barnes said. My face turned hot, and my head topped light as my feet dancing with Buddy Barnes. As long as I live, I will never ever forget dancing with Buddy Barnes, even though Spicy and Hints were the cakewalk winners. They each took a slice of cake for themselves. Then they let everybody else have a bite. Of course Missy was a sore loser, but she only makes herself look bad. Keep pushing, pushing. Everybody knows how Spicy and Hints feel about each other. Missy should just give up. Friday, December 30th, 1859. The week of Sundays has gone so fast. Like most holidays, it's been filled with work. Up the stairs, down the stairs. Bring me this, Clotee. Take that there, Clotee. Clotee, Clotee. I wish I could change my name. It is always late when we finish. Even May was so tired this evening, she just fell fast asleep up in the attic. I eased out of the kitchen without waking her. Saturday, December 31st, 1859, New Year's Eve. In the big house, all the talk is about the race tomorrow. The Campbells are here with their horse and rider. Their horse looks like a real champion, named Betty's son. The rider is the size of a boy, but he has a lot of years in his face. I heard one of the Campbells call him Josh. Later. The Campbells brought along 3 of their slaves, who stayed in the stables with Hints. They also made good dance partners for us. Missy took one look at the young man named Booker and claimed him for the rest of the evening. Aunt T called her a shameless hussy. I danced with the one named Obie. He was fun and had a happy laugh. but he wasn't near as good a dancer as Buddy Barnes. The one named Shad seemed shy, didn't dance, didn't talk. He left before the party ended. After one of the dances, the stroll in the barn started to make me sneeze. It always makes me sneeze and cough. Aunt T took me outside to get some fresh air and sent me to the cabin to get some cough syrup. When I passed the stables, I saw Shad standing at Big Can's stall.